going to open up the need and want template, and there's questions you didn't ask, there's certain questions you missed. So I'm just going to open that up and I'm going to go through it and I'll show you how that works. Let me just do a share screen. So it's sort of, and I think part of it is, as you get more and more into this, you get a little bit more relaxed, don't you, with the process. So let me just need and want word. Haven't done one of these for a while, but need and want form. Need and want form. Need and want. Where's the form? Need and want form. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is the need and want form, right?
Yep.
So I'm just going to be you. I'll be me. I'll be Paul Antonelli, and you'll be Shane, and I'm just going to come and interview you. Okay. So Paul Antonelli. Paul. I used to just put it straight in the thing anyway. And date is today, 5th of April. Select a COI, real estate agent. Okay. So you can fill in, so I'd go, SS Estates. All right, so Shane stock time, SS Estates. You put the details in here, address, yeah, phone number 04000000. You put your email address, ss at resi.com. Okay. So I'm just kicking off, right? Come in, little. G'day, Shane. How you going? It's Paul Antonelli. We talked about me just coming out and having a bit of a catch up with you. Is it still okay to do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Look, as I said, I'm new. I've just kicked off my inspection business. It's actually early days. What I really want to be able to do is really understand the marketplace. You're a really experienced agent in the area. So I really appreciate you sharing some time with us. And as I'm in the early stages, I've just got a bunch of questions that I sort of go through. Is it okay if I can just move through these questions? It sort of enables me to stay on track and not wander off. Can I just go through these questions with you? It's going to take probably about 15 minutes, if that's okay.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Okay, I'm just going to go through the questions. It's a bit structured, but that way I can really collect some information. So the first question I have is, what percentage of the properties sold in your office have a property inspection carried out?
Oh, most of them, 90%.
90%. Fantastic. All right. Has it always been that way, Shane?
No, it's a growing trend. 10 years ago, it was probably 60%, but I think it's just not sure what the driver is there, but the percentage has definitely grown.
It's increased. And what about pest inspections?
I was saying normally people, if they get a property, they also want to get a pest. The pricing is such that it's only really another 20% or 30% more, and they can have it done. That's what.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. And with the inspections, who actually asks for the inspection? Is it the purchaser? Do you have vendor inspections, or is it a bit of both? What have you found in your experience?
A bit of both.
Oh, okay, so it's both. Both. Okay. Is one more than the other? Would you think?
Probably the client. Yeah, definitely the purchaser.
Purchaser. Okay, purchaser.
If they haven't already got one lined up through the conveyancer, they'll say, "Do you know of a good property inspector?"
Cool. So, from your business perspective, how do you handle this process? Do you like them? Do you suggest it? Do they come? What's the process you do in relation to your clients getting a property inspection?
Well, we don't like to have the same inspector. We don't want to be seen as having somebody that we know personally that might be favouring us to not find things. So we have a few that we range around, but honestly, most of the time in this area, it comes from at the legal stage, and conveyancers probably your best bet to be talking to. That they handle so many sales on so many properties that they like to have a few, 2, 3 or 4 on a list of property inspectors that they trust.
Okay. So what you're saying, if I'm getting this correctly, is that you don't necessarily refer many because when clients come to you, they've already got someone from the conveyancer that's organised it. Is that correct, Shane?
Yeah, that's probably fair enough to say.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that's always the case, but yeah, by and large, that's probably fair enough comment.
Okay. So look, what in the past, I know you don't refer, but if you were referring, what's prevented you from referring in the past? If you didn't refer an inspection, what experiences have you had, or why haven't you referred someone to a building inspector? You know, what have you had any sort of incidents that have caused that for you? Any problems?
Oh yeah, we've had times when we've had a builder an inspector that's been very alarmist and carried on about small things. We're having incidents where inspectors have recommended repairs and then had someone they know give a quote.
You're right. It's a bit dodgy, isn't it?
Very. And we've had times when they don't turn up, when the reports is very unprofessional. It's not a space we really like to get into. We often say, look, find your own, just go online and start looking from there.
Yeah, I can see why you don't refer necessarily. You've had some bad experiences there. Look, in your office, so thanks for that, Shane. In your office, what percentage would you say come from an auction?
Probably about 30%.
Okay. And the rest are just private treaty?
Private treaty.
Yeah, okay. Look, with the auction ones, do you do vendor inspections? Where the client gets an inspection done first? So people.
Yeah, well, that's something we're looking into more and more, where everybody kind of wins there, but it just makes the sale potentially go a lot smoother.
So that could work for you, vendor inspections.
Yes, very much. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it makes it a bit easier for all parties. Okay, that's good. I know it's not your thing, but what's the average price you think for a property inspection?
Varies a lot. 400 to 600.
Okay, $400 to 600. And does that building and pest?
Generally, yeah, they're inclusive.
Yeah, right. Okay, building and pest. Okay. Look, you've obviously been in the industry a long time. So, what's your general experience when it comes to property inspections? What's your general experience? If you just have to say good, bad, indifferent, what's been your general experience when it comes to property inspections?
Pretty good. But there is some really substandard providers out there. They spend 20 minutes on site. They produce a 3-page report, and what's in it is often hard to understand. And yeah, the client has at times commented on this, that the inspection that they got, they thought wasn't really that informative.
Yeah, okay. Not very good.
Look, it's a necessary part, even though it's not a legal part of the process, but
yeah.
People want to know a bit about what they're buying, and we want them to know about what they're buying. The last thing we want is for them to purchase a property and find there's a big problem that's going to cost a lot of money. It reflects badly on us.
Yeah. I don't, not sure how they can do an inspection in 20 minutes. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
No.
All right. Look, what's, on the other side, what sort of things have you liked about that's gone well with a building inspection,
Well, there is some good providers out there, and they're good. I mean,
what's good? When you go good, Shane, what does that look like? What does good look like?
They turn up on time, or they turn up at all. They speak.
I turn up on time. Yeah.
They speak and present well. And look, the organising of the inspections is sometimes a big thing around here, because everyone's so time poor that getting an agent to grant access. Sometimes we've got to stand around while the report's happening. So, yeah, having someone turn up on time and do it in an efficient manner is a key thing for us. So, and to present well, to speak well to the client, the vendor, or the purchaser, if that happens, and then to produce reports that we have some providers that produce a report that is really easy to read and understand.
Oh, good. Okay, that's good.
Technical jargon, which is no benefit to anyone really.
No, that's good. That's good, Shane. That makes a lot of sense. So, with previous building inspectors, what aspects haven't gone well, right? What didn't really go well and actually caused you problems, have caused issues in the past? Do you have any?
Yeah, highlighting or grandstanding an item that the client or the purchaser then comes back and says, well, we want $30,000 worth of price for the house. That creates big problems for us.
Yeah, right.
There's legitimate problems out there, but what's in the field is often they're not that bad. I mean, if you tell someone they've got a bit of moisture in a bathroom wall, that doesn't mean the bathroom has to be demolished and it's going to cost.
Yeah. So they're just freaking people out unnecessarily. Is that what's been?
Well, yeah, and they're giving purchasers something to hinge off in their quest to have a reduced price.
Yeah.
Which is a disaster for everybody. So when problems are found, we understand they can't be hidden, but they can also be conveyed in a way that's non-scary.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now that makes sense. Look, I think some of our process, and look, I've got a bit of an idea. We actually have a pretty detailed communication cycle, and probably one of the things that we've learnt, and that I'm sort of understanding is that we're just a bit of a facilitator. The way we look at it is that same as you, we want the buyer to buy it, we want the seller to sell it, we want you to be able to sell it successfully, pick up your commission. So we just want everyone to be informed, and we're not really all about trying to create chaos, So, and I'll when I come back to you, I'll share some more information. But yeah, we found that to be a pretty common issue with a lot of agents. So when I sort of in the future, can I share some information about some of the differences with us? Can I come back to you with that down the track a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Do you ever have the need for retrospective approvals? when someone's got illegal structures and stuff, does that occur in your business?
Not much, no.
Not much. Okay, no worries. That's cool. Look, on average, how many properties a month do you sell within your office?
It's highly variable. We're a big office. We might do 20 in a month.
Okay, and does that vary seasonally? Do you find, or it's
absolutely? It can be like 5, or it can be 25.
Yeah,
very variable. There's no rhyme or rhythm usually, and it's a very hard number to define.
Okay, no, that makes sense. Is there anything else you'd like to share as a building inspector who's just getting into the market? Anything else you think I should know that might help me in growing my business?
Not specifically. We've pretty well covered everything. I mean, for us, it's a matter of having a look at your reports and getting that degree of confidence that we know that if we do refer you for a job, that it's going to be along those lines of what we expect in terms of professionality. And as you've highlighted, it's not an exercise in trying to hold up a sale, it's to facilitate a sale. So yeah, that's about all I'd feed back.
Okay, no, that's cool. Look, I'm obviously in the process. Look, I appreciate your time here, Shane. I'm in the process of doing this market research. Is there another agent in the zone in my area here that you could recommend I go and have a chat to?
Oh, well, there's a lot of agents in our office. I'm sure all our agents operate within our company parameters, but they're free to make individual decisions as well. So you could touch base with,
any good guys? Anyone you reckon I should have a chat to? Experienced guy? Any specific names? Anyone you'd say go and chat to this guy? What about in another agency? Do you know someone? Have you got a mate in another agency that has good knowledge in the area that I could go and have a chat to?
Oh yeah, there's Bob up the road for first class real estate. He's good. Yeah, you might want to give him a try. We used to work together, and
Okay, cool. Is he a good guy?
yeah, and he'd have a lot of gems of wisdom that he'd impart about property inspections.
Fantastic. That's great, Shane. Look, and just a couple other things. Do you guys have a need for meth testing in the inspections? Yeah, does that ever come up?
No, it doesn't.
No. What about depreciation schedules? Do you find that comes up?
No, not those either, really. No, get out of our scope.
Probably wouldn't do DLAPs because that relates to construction stuff. All
Yeah,
right. Look, I really appreciate your time, Shane. I know it's you know, I'm obviously new in the business. You know, it's great that you're helping me sort of get an understanding of the local marketplace. Look, I'm going to go through. I'll be doing a little bit more research once I get myself organised and I work out all my pricing and stuff. Is it okay if I come back to you and share some information with you about my service and stuff?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, not a worry.
Fantastic. All right, Shane. Look, I really appreciate your time. I know you're very busy, and I'll I'll go and have a bit of touch base with Bob. And once I've worked out what I'm doing and more stuff, I'll come back to you and share some more information with you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, Shane. Thank you very much.
See ya. Yeah, you're better at it than me, Paul.
I've done a few, mate. I've done a few, so don't feel bad.
Yeah, I can imagine. And you probably trained a few and done what you're doing with me too quite a lot too. So yeah, I can see how very, very different than what I did. You know,
so what do you think of the main? What do you think of the main differences?
You were not sort of standing on a soapbox making a speech. You were teasing out information from the agent.
Yep.
In a really look, I don't know. I'd have to think about it. It's everything you did was an effort to make them feel like I'm just there to listen to you, not to speak to you.
Yeah. I think what I'll do, Shane, is I'll share this video with you, right? This recording, right? And I'll flick you. I'll get an email from that. So probably some of the key takeaways is I didn't talk much, you know. I didn't really talk much, you know. I didn't, and sometimes you'll have agents that go, oh, you know, and they're really vague, you know, like you'll say things like, you know, how many do you sell? Well, you know, there's a big month, there's a decent month, you know, we have this month and we've got that month, okay. And then you go, so how many properties do you think you sell? Just ask the question again, you know, because agents can be blah, 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 and they go all over. So it's your job just to stay on track. And what you find is if you leave a void, they just talk. Just don't say anything and they just talk, you know. So I think as you get into this flow, because when you know you're not going to talk, so what you're doing, and this is my comment, and it's fairly common, is you're sort of feeling like you have to share information on, yeah, we do this and we do that and we do this and we do that, where you actually don't. And so when you turn up, if you go, I'm not here to sell to him, I'm not here to share information, it's almost like Shane's employed a researcher, right? Not a salesperson. And a researcher would never try to sell. Well, he can't sell. So he's just going to turn up and go, I mean, Shane's just told me, like, think of Shane the researcher as opposed to Shane the seller. And, you know, it's like, oh, Shane's told me to come and do some research. Oh, so tell me about your building inspections. I don't know anything about them. I'm the researcher. You've almost got to put that framework. Does that make sense?
You're so right. It's just a mindset, and it's so hard not to give them the sell, because like someone says, like one said to me the other day, said, you know, that 20-minute example I gave you, that was from an agent I rang on Monday who said that we don't do business with him anymore. And he told me that little story. He said, yeah, he was on site for 20 minutes because the vendor told him. And I said, oh, well, look, Resi, sir, we have a minimum of an hour and a half on site. And I gave I couldn't help it, Paul. I couldn't. It was just, I just couldn't help jumping in.
Do you know what happens is, look, it's just because save it for the next one. That's all I can say. Save it for the next one, because what will happen is this is a frame up for market research, which is actually what you're trying to do. You've asked for permission to come back. He said, yes, can you do that? You don't give him brochures and pricing. And then, within a week and a half, 2 weeks, not too soon, you say, oh, look, hey, Bob, put some stuff together. You did that interview with me on the 5th of April. I've actually got some information. Can I pop in and just share that and drop that off with you, I say, yeah, come in, Shane. No worries, And then you can come in. And now touch point 2. Yep. Touch point 1, the phone call originally. Touch point 2, a need and want interview. Touch point 3, another phone call. Touch point 4, you've dropped some stuff off. You just get a bit of so you're aiming to these 5, 6 touch points, and it just has a natural flow to it. Yeah. Does that make sense? And what you're trying to do. So if you did this, conveyancers tend to be a little bit, they're easy to deal with. They're actually sitting down in an office all day. So typically you just have to find out. They're a bit busy because they actually, do stuff. But, they're in the office all day. And so, if you have a process, you do that same process with conveyancers. And if you were doing 5 of these every week with a conveyancer, you would build your base, no question, because out of the 5, out of 6 or 7, you might not say, look, I've got actually something that I'd love you to do, but you do the same thing. If they come back to you and say, look, I've actually got a job next week, can you do it? You'd say, well, yeah, look, I can do it. I'll come back to you. Just give me some details. You don't say, no, I can't do the job. But yeah, look, I can do a job. Obviously, I'm ready to go, but I'm just understanding the pricing and stuff. But you don't say no to work, but you don't go, well, have you got any work? Or here's my brochures, here's my pricing, here's this. If they ask for that, always, can I come back to you? Can I come back to you on that?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think what you've said there, and forgive me if this information is already available, but that process of, touch 1 is the phone call, touch 2 is your first meet, touch 3 is, and maybe even spelt out what the purpose of each of those touches, what you're trying, not just how to achieve it, but what you're trying to achieve from those different touch points. I think that's where I struggle. And I know it's in our training. It's not a shortcoming of ResiCert at all. It's my understanding of it that's the shortcoming. I tend to think that, but you've highlighted this many times, that it's not a purpose of selling, but
no.
I guess the very last touch point, when they're listening to you, you've done everything else, then it's the sell right at the end kind of thing.
Look, I just find it naturally comes to the point where they want to give you some work. Naturally comes to the point where they just want to give you some work. You don't even ask for it. They say, look, I've got a job next week. Are you interested? And you go, yeah, that'd be fantastic. Because what you've done, the reason this works is we like to give, and you'll remember this in the training, we like to give work to people we know, we like, and we trust. Know, like, trust, right? So you need to know them first, right? So they need to know you, and that's the phone call and turn up. So now they know you, right? They know you, right? And the way you build rapport with someone and they get to like you is you listen. The biggest secret to someone liking you is just listen. You don't even have to talk, like you just listen, because if you find that we all want to be heard, it's instinctive for us as human beings, we want to be heard. And so if you listen, and if you listen, and if you listen, they'll go, well, Shane's a great bloke. You didn't weren't in there trying to sell, and I'm an expert on this, and I know everything about that. You'll leave and go, oh, that's pretty unusual because a normal approach for an inspector is to go in and goes, oh, I'm a legendary, I'm a builder, I've got 26 years, I know this, I know that, I know everything. We don't necessarily love that. And what you've done is you've built trust through, can I do this? Yes, and you do it. Can I do that? Yes, and you do it. Can I call you back in a couple of weeks? Yes, and you do it. You're building little pieces of trust, yeah, aren't you? You're putting in place. You don't build trust through what you say. You build trust through what you do. And just think about when you trust someone. They've said, I am going to do A, and they do A. You go, oh, It could be something small. Yeah. I'm going to do B and they do B. That's naturally a process for building trust. And when they know, they like, and they trust you, then they go, well, you naturally want to give someone some work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. It does. The way you put it like that, it does. Yeah, it is about the trust. And it's just and I guess if they've invested that much time into listening to, or sorry, not well, communicating with you, what's next? I mean, the whole purpose of us being together is for them to give you some work. So they're gonna, like you say, they're gonna end up just throwing you some work, aren't they?
Of course. And look, and I think, the thing that we try to do in this process is you do, and I can't stress it enough, you seek to understand. Yeah. So every real estate agent is different. They're different. They have different views on different things. You'll never find two that are the same, exactly the same. Real estate agents and conveyancers are different. So they have, what motivates a real estate agent. I want to get my commission. I want to look after but they actually work for the seller. It's actually really interesting. They don't work unless they're a buyer's agent. They work for the seller, but so they want to, do the deal with their seller and get the commission. A conveyancer will always get their income because they don't care whether they buy house A, B, or C, right? They don't really care. So they want to make sure their client is protected. They're really different positioning. And the more you can understand that, and it's pretty common, but letting them tell you about that is really important. And so look, you've got a process there. So look, they're my comments. You're out there doing them, but the best way to keep growing your business is just you want this process to be second nature. You just, the most successful guys. I remember Wayne Steer, who's just actually sold his business. He's been with me 7.5 years up in the Sunshine Coast. He originally he could, he's a professional engineer by background, never done any of this stuff, and he just followed the process. And he says it's just brilliant. It just worked, and then he never stopped using it. He never ever, but he never did the notes. After he got so many need and wants, it just became so. Oh, great. How you going? What do you find a problem? What works for you? Oh, okay, great. Can I touch base with you? It just becomes your way of connecting with people. So what you're thinking of, the way to think of this is to use this. This is part of your toolkit. And the better you get at it, it's not something you do for 2 months and then you stop. You won't record it all, but it's such a nice flow and a rhythm to connect with people, I mean, you think about BNIs, these BNI groups. That's what they do. They turn up and they talk to each other and they like and all about. It's a similar process, So if you can think about it like what you're doing is honing your skill in this area, because it's going to be the foundation for growth and expansion, then not look at it as I need to get work. Absolutely, you need to get work. But the work comes from you getting better and honing your skills, and then it becomes easier, and then it becomes easier. Imagine, once you've done, you go, I've done it well. Man, I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I can't even tell you how many of these things I've done. I was terrible at the beginning, but I've just done so much of them, I can do them in my sleep. I do this in every one of my businesses. Not just in Resi Cert. I've got another business when I talk to clients. It's so ingrained in me that this is how I engage with people at the beginning,
Yeah. Okay. Now that all makes so much sense to me that you put it kind of like